Hi, I'm Bart Hansen. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description. Okay, you got a hand for us?
Yes. So it's 2-5 played out of Vancouver, BC, 1200 effective.
Okay.
So I raise King of Diamonds, King of Clubs to 20 under the gun.
Okay.
MP1 calls, and then the small blind 3-bets to 105.
This is Vancouver, Canada, you said, or is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. So you open King under the gun, right? To 20. MP1 call, small blind 3-bets to 105. So obviously you are incentivized to knock that guy out from MP1 here. I mean, I would definitely be doing a fair amount of 4-betting, although this is probably it's a pretty extreme configuration in the sense that, um, small blind is going to be very, very tight here. But this
Yeah.
still has to be a 4-bet probably, quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah, so I typically would be 4-betting here, but I end up noticing that the MP1 player is motioning that he's going to fold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just end up calling, and MP1 folds.
So you decide to call because you think the guy behind you is just definitely going to fold. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So that is definitely a function of live poker, and you'll see that. So if you ignored the guy behind you, or let's just pretend the guy wasn't in the hand, right, at all.
Yeah.
How often is King a 4-bet? It's probably called quite a bit here. It's probably like a 50-50 split if you were looking at traditional, what these solvers saying about pre-flop. But again, people don't play
Yeah.
that way. I'm just saying, like, what I remember from top section is that this hand is not necessarily always 4-bet, when you raise under the gun, small blind 3-bets to 105. Although the
Right.
small blind's going to be a little bit wider because of that dead call in there, which makes it a 4-bet usually because he's going to be wider. Plus, there's a guy behind. But, okay, you call
Yeah,
because you know the guy's going to fold behind.
yeah, and the small blind is an Aussie pro
Okay.
that's been in the area for a while, and so I know he is going to be 3-betting a bit wider than the typical sort of kings plus ace king kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I just call, MP1 folds, and we go heads up to a flop of ace of diamonds, 9 of hearts, deuce of clubs.
Ace of diamonds, 9 of hearts, deuce of clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
The small blind bet 75, and I just call.
So he's betting 75 into a pot of about 220-ish, something like that. So like a 30% type. It's the 30, like a 1/3 sizing, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's nothing for you to do here but call. Small blind bet 75. Hero calls. Okay.
Yeah. Turn ace of hearts, which brings a backdoor flush draw.
Mm-hmm.
And he checks. I check behind.
So this is interesting here. This is interesting because of the fact that, your hand doesn't really need a whole lot of protection, although there is a backdoor heart draw when you have kings here against something, right? When you look at sort of this newer school range betting, like it used to be when people would 3-bet all kinds of shit, they would, if they had a suited ace here, like if the Aussie guy had a suited ace here from the small blind, he would do a fair amount of checking. It was like an unbalanced post-flop strategy on this board. Like if you had ace 3, right, or ace 4 as a squeeze pre, you'd find like a fair amount of checking, right, on ace 9 deuce. It's like, oh, it's the weak ace, like I don't need to bet, right? But now,
Sorry, checking on the flop.
Checking on the flop, yeah. Checking on the flop as instead of c-betting. But now when people they understand sort of like, c-bet 100, whatever you want to call it, range betting, you start to see this merge of a lot of hands bet, where 4 or 5 years ago, that ace 3 wasn't bet on the flop as a c-bet. So I can actually viably see the guy sometimes. I mean, what I was going to say on the surface is like, it doesn't seem like the guy has an ace when he checks the turn. Like he bets flop and checks turn. But if he is doing a fair amount of like just continuation betting on the right textures in a 3-bet pot on the flop, he could have a weak ace here. So, like a hand like ace 5 might check the turn. So
Right.
I can get behind checking, but I can also get behind probably betting here somewhat too. I don't think it's an
Right.
auto check, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in the same way that I feel like he's probably betting a lot of his aces, I also feel like he's probably betting a lot of his backdoor flush draws.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in that sense, like you're saying, like I'm not really protecting from much. I guess that was my thought process at the time.
Yeah, and then somebody in the chat said that they would bet to cover my flush draws because obviously, if the guy has, and what that means, of course, is that with his small sizing on the flop, if you're calling with hands that have like backdoor heart draws in it, like Jack 10 of hearts, Queen Jack of hearts, something like that, King Queen of hearts, you would be betting here on the turn sometimes. So you might
Right.
be sort of betting sometimes here with kings too. It wouldn't have to be a large sizing. I mean, it would be like a sizing of like 100 or something like that. You know what I mean? But anyways, you check it behind.
Right.
Okay, go to the river.
Yeah. Yeah. So check, and the river comes a Jack of hearts,
Jack of hearts. Okay.
and the small blind is sort of mulling things over for a while. He cuts out about 200. He's still kind of considering what he's going to do, and then all of a sudden he reaches back into his stack and puts in a bet of 600.
600
About 375.
into 375. You don't have the king of hearts in your hand, so you're trying to figure out if this guy's buying the pot, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you check back the turn, he might think that you're not going to have an ace backdoor hearts come in. I just feel like if you sort of structure having some aces here at the end, uh, kings is one of the best hands. Although the backdoor hearts come in here too. Here's the thing: like this is what you try to find out. Like because it's an overbet. Let's say the pot was 300, just to make the math easy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody is going to bet 300 into 300, right? The MDF would be 50%, meaning that even though you're getting 2-to-1 in pot odds, you have to like take the top 50% of hands that you arrive here with on the river to make it so that your opponent can't be profitably bluffing, right? Now, if he bets double the
Mm-hmm.
size of the pot, right? Now he's laying himself less of a price, and you only need to defend now with the top 33% of hands. I believe, is it 33 or 40%? It's either 33 or 40%. Well, he's betting twice, so he's got to win. So if he bets the pot, he's got to win 50. And then if he's betting 600 to win 300, he's got to be right. I think it's 60. I think you have to call the top 33% of hands here to make
Yeah.
his bluff, bluff indifferent. So, is king king in the top 33% of your hands here arriving in this way? I mean, if you've structured correctly certain hands, you do have some flushes here at the end, and you also have some aces here too at the end. But
Mm-hmm.
that's how you'd want to think about it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out what bluffs. I just think that this is an under bluff spot too, for double
Yeah.
pot sizing. Like I'm trying to think of like what hand does he have here that 3 bets and then decides to go with a 600 into 375 type of play. I mean, I would probably fold here.
But I guess what I'd like to sort of understand as well is what is his value?
Uh, what is his value for taking the sizing? You mean?
Yeah, because I mean, like he's not. I don't think he's betting like even ace queen to that size. Like it would really be ace jack, or if he's got ace nine in his three betting range.
Well, he could have ace nine. He could have pocket nines that was going for a check raise. He could have. I mean, he could have really thick value here. There's also too. He may have a backdoor flush, although those are supposed to be bet off a fair amount too. But I mean, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it would be shocking if he has a real thick value hand here at the
Yeah.
end that was going to be check raised here on the turn to like build the pot off, something like that. Um,
Yeah.
Jack Jack, What ended up happening?
So I kind of thought about it for a while, and I was thinking back specifically to preflop and the fact that I wasn't four betting, and just figured that this was one of the better hands that I arrived with, and I did end up making the call, and he turned over king queen of diamond.
King of diamonds, queen of diamonds. Is this in the top 33% of hands that you have? So he has a bluff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this in the top 33% of hands that you arrive with here? I mean, it's interesting because you got to go back street by street, right? Like, what aces are you calling with preflop with a guy behind you? But then let's say that if you know that the guy was going to fold, right? Then your flat calling range here would be much wider pre-flop than if you didn't know he was going to fold. Like, you might only continue on with ace-10 suited plus here. But if you knew the guy was going to fold, you might continue on with other aces. But the problem with that, though, in terms of MDF is, does your opponent know that you knew the guy was going to fold? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, then you play this whole game. I don't know if king without a heart here is in the top 33%. And I want to say that it's probably better for you to call with a heart in your hand here.
Yeah.
Well, if you were going to take the king combos, the king with a heart would be a slightly better call. But
yeah, that definitely.
it ended up being the call. I can't tell you if it's in the top 33% of your hand or not. But anyways, thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.